Hello everyone. Today we're discussing Shao Zi Shen Shu. First, check the link below. It is an interview with the late Kuang, the legendary polymath and a titan of Hong Kong culture. He talks about this very art. He calls it Tai Ban Shen Shu, or iron plate numerology. They are the same, both originating from the Song Dynasty master Shao Yong, Master Shao, also known as Shao Kangjie. In China's recorded history, he is the undisputed #1 master of metaphysics. Master Shao wrote a profound masterpiece titled Huangji Jing Shi Shu, the Book of Supreme World Ordering. Mr. Kuang mentioned this book in his video. I've brought a copy with me today. You can find this introduction to Huangji Jing Shi Shu in bookstores, but be warned, it is like a book from heaven. Without proper guidance, it is practically indecipherable. Look at this page. Can you make sense of any of this? It looks like modern computer code, rows upon rows of strings, like ABC, EFG. It's structured like a massive dictionary of destiny. This extraordinary book is fundamentally different from any form of fortune-telling you've ever encountered. Most fortune tellers rely on cold reading. They observe your expressions, use psychological tricks, and engage in a verbal tug of war to guess your future. They are often mocked for using vague riddles, like the father dies before the mother, which can be interpreted any way you like. But Shao Zi Shen Shu leaves no room for such ambiguity. That's why it's called iron plate. It's set in stone. It gives you direct, brutal, and specific answers. For example, if you're curious about your spouse's palace, your future partner, instead of vague hints, this divine art tells you exactly how old they are, and even their surname from the 100 family surnames. Yes, it tells you their actual family name. Let me read a passage directly from the original text of Shao Zi Shen Shu. When you have your fortune told, every single entry is delivered in this exact, unflinching style. Listen to this original verse. Mandarin ducks split. Solitude behind silk curtains. Your horse, your wife dies early. Your second bride must be a rooster. Is that ambiguous? Duck split means a broken marriage. Silk curtains means an empty bed. This explicitly states that your first wife's zodiac sign is the horse, as she will die before you. Your second bride must be born in the year of the rooster. Your second wife will be a beauty, and her zodiac must be the rooster. This is the essence of Shao Zi Shen Shu. It's not vague. It doesn't drop hints. It gives you the final, unalterable result. I first encountered Shao Zi Shen Shu back in 2004 in Nanjing. I was introduced to it by a private entrepreneur named Mr. Ma. He introduced me to a true master of this art, Ma Wen-zhang, to this day. You can still look him up on Baidu. When it comes to the art of destiny reading in China, he is the #1. Sorry about the shaking. A massive freighter just passed us, and the boat is rocking. You can search for him. Master Ma Wen-zhang served as a standing committee, member of the Henan Provincial CPPCC. Think about that. He doesn't do anything else. His entire career is built on traditional culture and destiny reading. To reach that level of political standing solely through this craft, that tells you everything you need to know about his skill. Nowadays, it's almost impossible to see him. But back then, we could still reach him. Even then, he was incredibly busy, flying all over the country to meet with top CEOs. He was expensive, but that's because he had the real deal. When I had my first session, there were several heavyweights present. There was Fu Haixing, the CFO of the Mingsheng Empire, a master of complex corporate finance. Then there was Lin Jinzhong, a legendary figure in China's futures market, along with Mr. Ma and the Master. We prepared for the readings. We had to go in one by one. This isn't like your typical fortune telling. It deals with extreme privacy. It can pinpoint things like illegitimate children or hidden secrets, so no one else is allowed in the room. When it was my turn, I went in and provided my 8 characters, my birth year, month, day, and hour. Then, the master asked me for the exact minute of my birth. In traditional Chinese astrology, our destiny is determined by 4 time units: the year, the month, the day, and the hour. To calculate this, we use an ancient Chinese system called the heavenly stems and earthly branches. For example, the year you were born might be the year of Jia Zi, Jia Zi. In this case, Jia is the heavenly stem and Zi is the earthly branch. That's 2 characters for the year. 2 times 4 equals 8, which is why we call it the 8 characters, or Ba Zi. But Shao Zi Shen Shu is different. It doesn't use 8 characters. It requires 10 characters. It takes that specific minute of your birth, and almost nobody knows those final 2. Now, let us talk about accuracy. In his interview, Mr. Kuang mentioned that this system requires you to be precisely located down to the very minute. Actually, that's not quite precise, because it's based on the 60-cycle sequence of the heavenly stems and earthly branches. It actually locates your destiny by scanning through every 2 minutes. In the Northern Song Dynasty, Master Shao Yong believed this level of accuracy was enough, and history has proven him right. A 2-minute window is more than enough to settle your universe. But the problem remains: were you born in the first 2-minute window, the second, or the 60th? No one knows. But don't worry. The master has a way to find it. He reverse engineers your time. He starts by casting a hexagram and then asks you a direct question. For example, the Palace of Spouses faces 3, fold punishment. The horse year lady departs for the underworld. What does that mean? The Palace of Spouses refers to your wife. It means your relationships are a total disaster, constant fighting, constant conflict, and never a moment of peace. The horse year lady departs for the underworld. This means the woman you loved most, perhaps your legal wife, was born in the year of the horse, and she has already passed away. He will look you in the eye and ask, "Is this true? Did this happen in your life?" If this isn't your specific 2-minute window, you will obviously say, "No, that's not me at all." He moves to the next interval and keeps going until the description fits you perfectly. Once he locks in your time, he might find a verse like, "In years to come, you shall pluck the laurel from the moon palace, bringing glory to your ancestors and transforming your family legacy." This means you've achieved massive academic or political success. If that matches your life, then boom, that is your 2-minute window. Then, from this moment on, you are completely out of the equation. You are no longer a participant. It's not like someone looking at your palm, "Let me see your face," chatting with you, "Give me your hand." It is not like that. You sit there in total. Once your 10-character code is locked in, you don't say another word. At this point, the master pulls out a calculator and a set of heavenly books. There is a massive stack, 12 volumes in total. Mr. Kuang mentioned there were 10. There is a massive stack, 12 volumes in total. Each book is filled with the same dense, complex data that I showed you earlier from the Huangji Jingxi Shu. It is a complete library of human destiny, waiting to be decoded. Take a look at this. This is a portion of a photocopy from one of those 12 books. You see the number 7120. Underneath it, you see the hexagrams Jin, Ming, Yi, Zhangfu, Ding, and Yi. These correspond to the codes 7121, 7122, 7123, then 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. These 4-digit codes are the keys. For example, 7121 maps directly to the Jin hexagram. And the hexagram Jin is the blueprint of your life. The verdict is terrifyingly specific. At 50, the children depart, leaving you beneath a solitary star, only with a medal. Fate, can a couple hope to grow old together? Destiny decrees a clash with the paternal elder. A soil, fate, is bound by this curse. And for the children, without the element of water, they shall not flourish. You don't say a single word. The master simply pulls these verses from the 12 books to assemble your book of fate. Whether it's 60 lines or 100, they track your entire life's journey, from your core character to your yearly fortunes, all the way until the day you die. In other words, every major event from birth to death is there. Marriage, career peaks, going to jail, making a fortune, having children, having affairs, even the secret ones. It tells you everything in brutal detail. The exact year, the book runs out of verses. That's it. That's the year you die. Anyone who's had a Shaozi session knows their own expiration date. You know exactly when you're gone. You'll even know the exact year your parents, spouse, or children will pass away. When it's finished, the master hands it to you. This is the Shao Zi Shen Shu I personally experienced. This book of life, you must keep it safe. Don't go around blabbing about it, because it contains your deepest, darkest secrets. Now, you might ask, if the world can know everything just by your birthday, what about the thousands of people born at the exact same time? Even with a 2-minute window, there are still too many people sharing that same slot. How could their fates be identical? After years of research, I finally figured out how Shao Zi Shen Shu actually works. Think about it. In Chinese metaphysics, in our traditional philosophy and science, what is the core principle? It's always about balance, always in pairs, movement and stillness, yin and yang, master and servant, king and minister, right? Everything is matched, always in pairs. To crack your life code, it requires 2 variables, X and Y. The first variable is innate X. That's your 10-character birth code. That's fixed. But it's only half the story. The second variable is what we call acquired, Y. This isn't just about the clock, it's about the moment. It's the 10-character code of the very minute you sit down in front of the master. From that moment, another set of numbers is derived, and that is the key, the acquired variable. X plus Y. These 2 data sets are superimposed and calculated together. The calculation follows a strict. The numbers move like a clockwork mechanism. Tick, tick, tick. It cycles through until it finds the corresponding text in those heavenly books. Mr. Kuang mentioned something similar, but he couldn't quite wrap his head around it. He said it shouldn't be hard because the master just uses an abacus. Exactly, it's just addition. Maybe they don't even use subtraction, let alone multiplication or division. It follows the clock. Once this wheel completes a full cycle, it clicks forward. Another full turn, and it advances again. There are only 4 digits in the code. So it works like this. 1 full rotation. Then it carries over. Another rotation, carry over. Everything is contained right here, within those 4 digits. Shao Zi Shen Shu is a total map. 1,000 numbers, corresponding to 1,000 verses, detailing every chapter of your life. After syncing your innate and acquired codes, it's all processed through a secret formula. Mr. Kuang mentioned this formula too. It is the ultimate secret. You see, the codes are available for purchase, and you can even get photocopies, but they are useless, even with 9,000 verses laid out in front of you. How would you know which one belongs to you and which belongs to someone else? That is why the method of mapping the verse to the soul is only passed down through a strict one-on-one lineage from master to a single chosen disciple. Ever since Master Shao's time, this knowledge has been guarded. I know for a fact that before a student is even allowed to learn, they must swear a heavy, solemn oath under heaven. The secrets of the universe are not meant to be leaked carelessly. There are rules. To this day, the Shaozi art has traveled far. The most famous masters have reached Hong Kong. Now, if this art is truly so divine, if the code of your life is already written, does your own effort in this world even matter? If a higher dimensional being looks down at our 3D world and sees everything laid out like a finished movie, isn't everything predestined? That statement is both right and wrong at the same time. A person's life operates on a specific logic. It is a continuum of the past, the present, and the potential future. Imagine it like a massive, ancient tree. The trunk represents the past and the present. Those events have already happened. They are solidified and clearly visible to everyone. But the future is like the roots or the branches splitting off into 1,000 different directions. Yes, there are many possible futures, but there is always one dominant main branch. If you simply drift through life without any conscious intervention, that main branch is exactly where you will end up. It's not a chaotic multiverse. It is a determined path until you decide to change it. This is the whole reason we get our fortunes told in the first place. It is a human instinct to seek fortune and avoid disaster. If the calculation tells me there is a deep pit 10 feet ahead, I am going to walk around it. By avoiding that pit, you have effectively clipped that destined branch of failure. It's just like pruning. Once you cut off a dead-end path, a new one will inevitably sprout in a different direction. Where does this new path lead? You won't know unless you run the numbers again. The innate code is fixed. Your acquired code has shifted. You are now looking at a brand new version of your fate. That is your new story. This realization completely reshapes your values. It's not about just being destined for wealth. In my own reading, there was a phrase, wealth comparable to Xichong. For those who don't know, Xichong was a legendary tycoon in ancient China, so obscenely rich that he used to have wealth, offs, with the emperor's own family. Look up Xichong competing for wealth. It's a wild story. So, if I am told I will be as rich as Xichong, should I just stop working? Should I just lie in bed and wait for the gold to fall from the ceiling? Absolutely not. Let me give you a modern analogy. Remember the classic Minesweeper game on old Windows computers? Think of the easiest level. A simple 2x2 grid. 4 squares, and 2 of them are hidden landmines. If you click blindly without thinking, boom, game over. But if you are careful, you restart, and you finally click open a safe square. Now you can use logic to deduce where the other mines are hiding. You follow the rules, you flag the dangers, and you clear the board. Then the game upgrades. Once you master the 2x2, you move to 4x4. Then 16x16, then 32x32, until you're refacing a massive 64x64 battlefield. In this life, your innate status is simply the size of the board you were given at birth. If you were born into a poor, struggling family in a remote village, your starting board might be a tiny 2x2. No matter how much you sweat, you are limited to that small grid. You can turn a 2x2 into a 64x64 in one go. But if you play that small board perfectly, maybe in your next life, you will be granted a 4x4. Now, consider someone like the famous billionaire heir, Wang Xichong. His innate starting position is astronomical. He begins life with a 64x64 board already laid out. He has more space, more resources, and a massive buffer for error. But don't be fooled. Even if you're Wang Xichong, even if you start with the best gear and the biggest board. If you play recklessly, if your reaction time is slow and your choices are foolish, it's still game over. If he clicks blindly and hits a mine, the game ends just as fast for him as it does for a beggar, and he will gain absolutely nothing in the end. Innate destiny sets the ceiling and the resources, but acquired effort determines whether you actually reach that ceiling or blow yourself up on the first square. That is the true essence of seeking fortune and avoiding disaster. You don't get lazy because you know your luck. You become more dedicated, more focused, and more respectful of the game. Just like me, I'm not going to sit around waiting for my luck to run out. If I am in this game, I'm going to play it with everything I have got. This experience with Shao Zi Shen Shu left me in awe of the unknown. I know these phenomena are beyond our current scientific reach. How did this system even come to be? Mr. Kuang suggested it might be a codebook left behind by extraterrestrials when they created the Earth. You know what? That's entirely possible. My personal feeling is that the world and the Creator, the Divine, exists in a higher dimension. God is multi-dimensional. When God created the world, it wasn't as simple as making Adam and Eve and then walking away. No, he prepared everything in advance. God is more like a legendary Hollywood director. When a blockbuster is shown to you, you sit there laughing one moment and crying the next, completely swept up in the plot. But don't you dare think the director is following the plot along with you. The director, the producer, has already conceptualized every character arc, every twist, even things you can't possibly imagine. It's all been meticulously crafted and stored as a finished film copy. Then, for you, it starts from zero, click, just from start, straight to end. You finish it all in 2 hours. But from the perspective of the Divine, every single frame, every sound, and every movement is already known. It was all pre-recorded. It's only as the clock ticks that the film is projected onto the screen of your reality, day by day. Therefore, the world God created isn't a dynamic 3D space, but a holistic, static, multi-dimensional world. Everything exists simultaneously in this holographic state. It's only when it manifests in 3D space, combined with the flow of time, that it feels full of mystery to us. We think, wow, this is so much fun. This is so exciting. We wonder if God is just like us, a 3D being who just happens to have infinite power. But that's not it at all. If you look at it from this perspective, you can finally understand the essence of Shao Zi Shen Shu. You understand how Master Shao Yong knew everything from astronomy to geography, and why he could even calculate the destiny of the entire Song dynasty. He lived during the early Northern Song dynasty, when the empire was still powerful. When the emperor asked about the nation's future, he gave a precise, chilling answer. The reforms of Wang Anshi will be the turning point of your national destiny. And indeed, after Wang Anshi, it was game over. He even knew that Chengdu in Sichuan would be the only sanctuary from the coming wars. When the Song dynasty fell and the world was in chaos, he instructed his descendants to hide in Chengdu. After the turmoil passed, they returned to Luoyang, having escaped a total massacre. That was Shao Yong's home. Even today, his descendants thrive there. And there is a temple dedicated to Master Shao Yong. How did he know so much? Was it a miraculous encounter, or was he born with this immense cosmic energy? It's because he saw the film copy. He saw the copy. He read the movie reviews. And more importantly, he knew how to access the projection room. He discovered the method. For a man like that, calculating your personal life isn't just easy. It's trivial. He just says, hold on, takes one look at the film reel, and tells you what happens to a 3D person bound by time. He seems like a god, but that's just the logic of higher dimensions. Today, I have given you a lot more detail to supplement my previous series. Many of my original Master series posts on Sinablog were deleted. It's as if the country is moving backward lately, restricting what we can say. Stories about masters like Wang Lin or Ma Wen-zhang have been wiped out. Fortunately, I am reorganizing those records and posting them on Twitter. And for those on YouTube who are too lazy to read tweets, my videos will give you about 70 to 80% of the truth. In the world of Chinese divination, Master Shao Yong's Divine Numerology is the absolute pinnacle. What does pinnacle mean? It means you don't need to look any further. You have reached the end. There is nothing higher. It is impossible to surpass. The champion of fate resides right here. Today, we conclude the story of Master Ma and his Shao Zi Shen Shu. If we get the chance, we will talk about Wang Lin next. That's a whole different story. It's equally fascinating, and like everything I share, it's something I experienced personally. Alright? Bye-bye. Let's chat again soon.